All right, going to talk about South Carolina quarterback LaNorris Sellers. Talk about his 2024 season as a whole. There's some specific takeaways that I do want to talk about and dive into. I want to go through each game and spend maybe 30 to 60 seconds on each game, what he did well, the main takeaways from each game. Then talk about the outlook for 2025. So LaNorris Sellers, let's go ahead and dive into it. No film today. I know if you watch this channel a lot, we do a lot of film breakdown. We will have a video coming out shortly. It may already be out, depending on when you're watching this video, over his best throws from the 2024 season. But let's just recap the season as a whole, kind of put the season to bed, if you will, and we'll still be talking about Sellers with the offseason. But let's just recap the season, talk about what to look ahead, and then we'll have some film in the next video over Sellers. So LaNorris Sellers, first year as a starting quarterback, 65.5 completion percentage, 2,534 yards passing, 8.5 yards per attempt, 18 passing touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 674 yards rushing. That's including the sack yards that gets tacked on, and 7 touchdowns on the ground. So if I'm just thinking about one statement to talk about his season overview, I thought it was a year of tremendous development, especially in the second half, playing in high-pressured situations that you saw him get better and better on each game. He's going to be one of the most talked about quarterbacks heading into 2025, and rightfully so. But let's talk about some of the nuances. Let's dive into the details a little bit more than just saying he's an exciting electric quarterback who has a huge future ahead of him. Let's get some takeaways. Let's talk about what he did well versus certain defenses. Let's talk about the different passing schemes that he did well, the passing schemes you want to develop on. Let's talk about his ability to spread the field, to push the ball downfield. Let's talk about how, does he hold on the ball too long? Do we need to get rid of the ball quicker? Then talk about his ability as a runner. And then after that, we'll dive into each game and spend 30 to 60 seconds talking about recapping each game. Again, just a big 2024 recap. You have to be a South Carolina junkie or a quarterback junkie to want to watch this video. If not, you'll get bored, so I do apologize. All right, let's talk about defenses. Let's talk about and compare how he did against the blitz and how he did when the defense would drop 7 or 8. And if you watched this channel before, we've talked about Sellers' ability against the blitz. He was elite against the blitz this year in 2024. He was blitzed 36% of his dropbacks. Out of those dropbacks, he had 11 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, 1,168 yards passing. His yards per attempt are 10.1. Whenever the defense would drop 7 or 8, so when they wouldn't blitz, whenever they would have more defenders defend the pass, he had 7 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. They did that about 64%, 63% of his dropbacks. His yards per attempt went down from 10.1 to 7.3. So he was elite against the blitz, and this stood out to me against Texas A&M, especially on some pretty big third downs before South Carolina ran away with the game at the end of the game. But there's one play that stands out to me. It was a 3rd and 6. A&M brings the house. Sellers stands in the pocket. He throws the ball exactly to where the blitzer came from. They get a first down. This is what you're taught to do as a quarterback. Wherever the blitzing guy comes from on the defense, you replace him with the ball because you have a receiver hopefully going to that spot and you throw the ball there. So he did a great job delivering to where the defending blitzer was coming from. So next steps here, and I think he did better at this, is continue to develop when the defense drops 7 or 8. I think defenses are going to stop blitzing him because his ability to escape the pocket. But he was also a really damn good passer against the blitz. Like we talked about, 11 touchdowns and 2 interceptions came against the blitz. 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions whenever they didn't blitz. So defenses are trying to drop 7 or 8 more often to defend against that. So big takeaways, he was a lead against the blitz. Next step in development, continuing and expecting defenses not to blitz as often and try to confuse you pre-snap to post-snap and drop 7 or 8. So continue to develop against those type of defenses. Okay, passing schemes. Main schemes here. Let's just talk about play action and non-play action. Obviously, we can go through rollouts. A lot of his rollouts were off of play action or some type of creativity in the scheme. But I thought we saw some big improvements in the area of dropping straight back, not utilizing play action. Early in the season, the first few games, I think he really needed play action. You saw more designed rollouts just to get him comfortable, get him on the run, which is normal for a young quarterback. But off of play action, let's talk about play action first. Off of play action, he had 786 yards passing, 10 touchdowns, 0 interceptions off of play action, yards per attempt 9.1. The majority of the yards came on straight dropbacks. They only passed the ball on 27% of his dropbacks. So the majority of yards came on straight dropbacks, not using play action. Had 8 touchdowns, 7 picks without using play action. But even with that, I thought he got more comfortable in straight dropbacks. And we talked about this in the end of the season, him getting more comfortable without using play action, without utilizing play action to get something open. He was throwing open receivers. And we'll look at some film in our next video. But even with that, I still would like to see more play action. We talked about only 27% of his dropbacks are off of play action. Man, I would like to see that pushing 40 or so. I think you can have some big plays off of that. Sellers and Brady Cook were the only starting quarterbacks in the SEC to not throw an interception off of play action. So he's obviously really comfortable in that. So I would want to tailor the game, especially with a quarterback that can run, towards a bit more play action and still let him develop and continue to get good at not having to utilize play action. Okay, let's talk about the deep ball and spreading the ball downfield. So LaNorris Sellers had 19 completions. The ball was thrown 20 yards or more downfield. It's kind of like the metric on what a deep ball is according to PFF. He was ahead of Quinn Ewers, ahead of Nico Iamaleava, ahead of Brady Cook. All these quarterbacks that were ranked ahead of him going into the season, he was ahead of those guys and pushing the ball downfield. And I think it helped open up some underneath passing plays. Like a lot of Sellers' big plays obviously came off of him scrambling and throwing the run, but came off of hitting guys in stride and then being able to go upfield. That was allowed to happen because his ability to push the ball downfield. So I would still want to see some more deep balls next year, but I thought he did a great job, especially towards the end of the season, on completing on these deep balls. They didn't have a ton of attempts. He only had 38 attempts where the ball was thrown 20 yards or more downfield. I don't have the exact stats, but he was 50, his completion percentage was 50% on these type of throws, which is pretty damn high on deep balls here. So I do want to see more of that because I think the ability is there. Okay, let's talk about his ability as a runner. This is what makes him special. Obviously, like we could do a whole highlight tape talking about him breaking tackles, escaping, running the ball, and throwing the ball on the run. He had 674 yards on the ground, but that doesn't account for sacks. According to PFF, he had 852 yards rushing, not accounting for sacks. He was third in the SEC in quarterbacks and rushing, not accounting for sacks, just behind Jalen Milroe and Diego Pavia. He led all SEC quarterbacks in yards after contact. He had 581 yards after contact. The next closest quarterback was Jalen Milroe with 452 yards after contact. I mean, the guy, you heard the comparisons of like a Cam Newton. He'd be hitting the backfield, break the tackle, and keep going. Clemson, he probably had 100 yards after contact alone against Clemson. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's a bit much, but you get the point. He's hard to bring down, so you can really utilize him. He's a special runner, a special athlete, and it really shows his ability as a runner, yes, but just to buy time, break tackles, and push the ball downfield. I mean, one of the big plays against A&M on the first drive, he did this. He did this against Vanderbilt. He did this against like most every team. We could have a crazy scramble breaking a tackle. Okay, next step, something that I do think we want to work on. This is the last kind of category we'll talk about before we go to the game-by-game overview. But how long did it take the ball to get it? How quickly are you getting rid of the ball? Because every elite quarterback, or not every, but most elite quarterbacks get rid of the ball quickly more times than not. However, quarterbacks that are athletic, quarterbacks that tend to run more, tend to hold on the ball longer, so you live with it, right? It's not always wanting to get rid of the ball. But the SEC, out of all starting quarterbacks, only Marcel Reed held on to the ball longer than LaNorris Sellers. And like I talked about, you live with this because of all the special plays he makes, but at the same time, I do think it's an area where you can improve on and get rid of the ball a bit quicker, because at the same time, I think holding on the ball too long led to some fumbles in the pocket, led to some mistakes. Like this is one of the things that moving forward, I'm sure LaNorris Sellers, quarterback coach, the offense as a whole, is going to be working on, hey, let's get rid of the ball quickly, because when we hold on the ball too long, that's when sacks happen, that's when the fumbles happen in the pocket. So only 34% of his dropbacks, the ball was out in less than 2.5 seconds. So for perspective, Carson Beck, the ball was out 51% of his dropbacks, the ball was out less than 2.5 seconds. Garrett Nussmeier, 48% of his dropbacks, the ball was out in less than 2.5 seconds. Now this can be skewed at times with quarterbacks like Sellers, quarterbacks that can really run, and you don't want them to change their game just to get rid of the ball quickly, but at the same time it's still an area to develop and to improve. So those are kind of the deep dives, the kind of nuances of LaNorris Sellers. Elite against the blitz, developing when the defense dropped 7 or 8. I thought he was fantastic off of play action, especially early on, and he got comfortable not utilizing play action. Some of his best throws actually were not off of play action. Then as a runner, obviously a special quarterback, getting rid of the ball quickly is something that you can probably continue to improve on. and I want to see more opportunities push the ball downfield. I think he's good at it. I just think he needs more opportunities, and he'll be higher on those completions. So let's go game by game overview just real quick. I know we're kind of lengthy. How long is this? Well, 9 minutes. I'm sure y'all are bored listening to me talk. I promise we do have some film coming in the next video. We're going to probably go through each game and put off his best throw from each game. And if you're an SEC quarterback fan, we're going to do quarterback breakdowns like this for most every SEC quarterback team, unless I don't have much subscribers from their fans, then we probably won't. But we'll do a deep dive on most every SEC quarterback. Okay, so let's go through game by game. First game, LaNorris Sellers, Old Dominion, 10 of 23, a buck 14, 68 yards on the ground, 1 touchdown on the ground. He showed some flashes, but after this game, I admit, I was like, damn, I don't know if he's going to be the guy. I think they may put in Ashford, right? But it was his first game starting. I think this is a great example of like letting a quarterback develop. Against Kentucky, the following game, 10 of 14 passing, a buck 66, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. There wasn't much of a passing game here. They didn't need to throw the ball that much. Their defense did really well. I think they had a pick 6 in that game maybe. Kentucky's offense was doing nothing. But you saw more ability here. There were a few plays like scrambling, rolling out that you saw that there were some positive takeaways. Then against LSU, 9 of 16, a buck 13, 1 interception, 88 yards on the ground, and 2 touchdowns on the ground. He started off hot here. Obviously, he got hurt in this game. LSU able to come back. They jumped off 17-0, but you saw some flashes here. Against Ole Miss, there were some struggles. 20 of 32, a buck 62. They lost that game 27-3. Had an interception. Not much going on the ground either. He was sacked 6 times against that Ole Miss defense. He held on the ball way too long this game. This is when I was like, okay, still needs some development. But then after this A&M, or the next game was against Bama, and pretty much from Bama on, he missed one game where Ashford started, but pretty much since Bama on, pretty much balled out most games. Alabama, 23-31, 208 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. They were close. They lost 27-25. They had the onside kick, 2-point conversion. He had some funky things go on. But this game, you saw him push the ball downfield a bit more, and I was okay, there's something there. Then against Oklahoma, the defense goes out crazy fast. He finishes the game 16-24, a buck 75, 1 touchdown, 28 yards on the ground. They win 35-9. Again, their defense, South Carolina's defense, dominated. But there's some really nice throws by Sellers. Texas A&M, this was the game. The stats aren't going to be anything crazy, but this was a game that I was like, damn, LaNorris Sellers is going to be a problem. And you saw him continue to develop each game. Against A&M, they won 44-20. He was 13-27, 244 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, had 106 yards on the ground and 1 touchdown. I know like the completion percentage isn't great, but who the hell cares? There were some big time throws, some big time plays from LaNorris Sellers. This is when really stood out to me. Like, man, he's pretty good against the blitz. And he got better and better. They got Vanderbilt coming up next. You're thinking that they're going to have a game where, they just have a huge win against Texas A&M at home, going on the road against Vanderbilt. Maybe they're going to get upset. No, they won 28-7. He's 14-20 for 208 yards and 2 touchdowns. One of his best scrambles was in this game where he broke the tackle and threw on the run. After that, you play Mizzou. Probably the best game of the season for him. Maybe my favorite game because it was back and forth, like the second half. He was 21-30, 353 yards passing, 5 passing touchdowns, and 1 pick, 45 yards on the ground. Only was sacked once. The ball came out quicker this game. He was just efficient. We saw him utilize play action. We saw him utilize straight dropbacks. This was by far the best game for LaNorris Sellers, in my opinion. Then you have Wofford, blow them out. Then you have Clemson, which this may be the most special game, right? I think the best game as a passer was against Mizzou, but your best game, your most special game as a player, as a football player, I think was against Clemson because of the situation you were in. 13-21 passing, a buck 64, 1 interception. You still made some nice throws, but they had no chance athletically stopping LaNorris Sellers. 16 carries, 166 yards, and 2 touchdowns, especially that crazy run at the end of the game to take the lead. This game, Mizzou and A&M were probably my favorite games from LaNorris Sellers. What a special game here, especially as a runner. Still made some nice throws. But what I liked about this game is he missed some throws. He had, I think, a strip fumble. He had an interception, but he responded and bounced back, which is a tell of a good quarterback. In the bowl game against Illinois, we did a breakdown here. 24-34, 260, 1 touchdown. Illinois played great. Illinois dropped 7 or 8 the majority of the time. They didn't blitz very much, which I think they kept everything in front. They had to spy on Sellers. He wasn't able to run very often. He still made some nice throws. He missed some throws. Another throw at the end of the game is a bummer. But overall, there were still some nice things done from LaNorris Sellers. So that's a quick game-by-game overview. So a quick look ahead. He's going to be one of the most exciting quarterbacks heading into 2025. Going to be one of the most taught quarterbacks heading into 2025, and rightfully so. We're excited about him. We'll have another film breakdown over the best throws from this season. And we'll have some more content coming out from Sellers, improvement areas, whatever it may be. But if you're a South Carolina fan, please let us know your thoughts of Sellers in the comments below. Let us know what you thought of Sellers, and if you like this type of video, please consider subscribing to the channel. It helps us grow. Again, we put out a lot of SEC quarterback content, so if you like that type of content, like the video, share, and subscribe. It does help us. As always, thanks for following us along. Sincerely, it means a lot to us. We'll see you next time. We got a fun offseason planned ahead. Thanks for watching. Peace.